What is the worst example of lack of personal hygiene you have ever encountered? Had an uncle, technically an older cousin, who was toxically masculine and refused to wipe his ass because he thought it made him gay. His perpetual stank got him uninvited to every family function. If wiping your butt makes you gay, then consider me Elton John. I had a part-time job at uni cleaning out student rooms after the occupants had moved out. One room was left with no fewer than 28 bottles of piss that the occupant had decided just to leave in the room. The shared bathroom was next door. I have a girlfriend who thought that it was normal for guys to have dingleberries. Poor girl was going down on a guy with matted turd fur. Had to Google, dingleberries, what the fuck? Please explain for the innocent among you. Common amongst farm animals, dingleberries occur when you don't wipe/clean your asshole after a poo. The poo then becomes matted to your asshole hairs, resulting in a dreadlock of shit. I worked at an engine assembly plant in New York State, where everyone is in these 3 to 5 station teams that rotate every hour, so you don't go crazy doing the same job for 8+ hours. We had this dude who came to our group who had the nastiest teeth I've ever seen in my life. His bottom front teeth were all fused together into one big lower tusk. And his breath could gag a maggot. It got so difficult to work with the guy, you could smell his breath from at least 6 feet away, that we had to go to a manager to figure out how to handle it and not be dicks. Well, they basically told him he needed to do something about it, so he constantly had a tub of mints on him. After that, his breath just smelled like a rotting corpse in mint. So yay. Woman was a heavy smoker, which can cause a lot of issues in itself. And bad BO like she never showered, and the list goes on and on. But the worst thing was this nasty brown blouse she had that she wore all the time. I mean, like, for days a week at least, but she did wear other things occasionally because they always jumped out. Thing is, there was a picture on her desk wearing that blouse from like 5, 6, whatever years before, and it was white in that picture. I just thought it was coincidence, and no way it was the same one till one of her coworkers, who shared the office with her, started bitching about her one day when she was gone, and the woman confirmed it was the same shirt, and she had slowly watched it change from white to whatever disgusting it currently was over the years. I work in an ER in a low-income area. There was one that I'll never forget. She was a mid-40s obese hoarder who had decided it wasn't worth the effort to get out of her recliner for 2 weeks straight. She had a fridge within reach, so she wasn't hungry, but was producing feces and urine the entire time without getting up to use the restroom or to clean herself. You could smell her down the hall with the door closed, and her behind was literally rotting away with pressure sores down to her bones. But how can you stand that? Probably nerve damage, and she had slowly desensitized herself to being in that situation by building up behavior. I believe in this case, she had some severe depression as well, which definitely could have contributed. I met a girl on a dating app. We got along well online, but she smelled like ass in person. I'm talking fully clothed, and several feet away, there was still a stench of ass. I was really embarrassed for her TBH. She complained about guys ghosting her and not knowing why. I mean, it's not easy to tell someone they smell like ass. I don't know how you couldn't be aware of it either. Nose blindness is a thing. You stop smelling things you're used to. I remember a story about how Febreze, which eliminated odors, was having trouble getting going. Some people from the company were interviewing regular people about their habits, and they came across an old cat lady whose house absolutely reeked. When they subtly and politely asked about cat smell, the lady replied that it was amazing that with so many cats around, they didn't smell at all, and that's why she didn't need to use Febreze. This is also why smokers think other people can't tell they're smokers. We can, and why some women who have a favorite perfume end up drenching themselves in it over time, as they stop being able to smell the regular dose. This guy and his family didn't like to shower, and they all had food stains all over their clothing, and the father smelled like he crapped himself, smelled like pee, but that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is he had food stuck in his hair, and maggots crawling in it. Literally, the guy smelled like death. He said I was being offensive because I stood 10 feet away from him. Guy had the nerve to call my manager over, who then immediately stuck his hand up and said he wasn't interested in hearing his story, that he needed to leave and not come back until he took a shower. After this is when he started taking care of himself. Edit, sentence improvements. Girl I was friends with at university had been complaining of an itchy head for a couple of weeks. We all joked it could have been head lice, but none of us had any contact with children. Anyway, this girl was known for her lack of showering. We worked in the same restaurant together, and she'd frequently finish a shift, sleep in her uniform, and go back the next day without even a pat down with a wet wipe, just to put it in context. One day in a lecture she scratched her head, and a huge louse came out and walked across her paper. It was shocking, honestly. Later that day, she's got delicing shampoo and a comb. I swear to God, each time she pulled the comb out of her hair you couldn't even see the teeth. It was just alive and moving with lice. Still one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. I mean, her head was literally crawling with lice. We had 2 regulars that used to come into our bar in their later years of life, but enjoyed the atmosphere and loved chatting up anyone who would listen. Things started going south a few years back when we started getting some complaints that they would sometimes smell like urine. Then it dawned on me I hadn't seen either of them get up and go to a washroom. Eventually we came to find out that instead of acting like normal members of society, they would come in, drink beer for a few hours, and just casually piss themselves while wearing diapers and not think anyone would notice. I lived in a triple dorm when I was a sophomore in college. 2 friends and myself. When my friend transferred to a different school over Christmas break, the college automatically added in a 3rd person, as our dorm had the only opening on campus. The girl was a year younger than us, not a huge deal. But the problem developed a few days after she moved in with us. There was a slight odor when she walked by. The odor grew day by day. We began to realize that she wasn't showering. We had an ensuite bathroom, and we would hear the water turn on in the shower for about 5 minutes, but she never came out with wet hair or looking any different than when she went in. We went for a soft approach at first. We went to Bath and Body Works and got her a really nice basket of scented soaps and shampoos and conditioners, because she only had one very old generic shampoo that she'd had in the shower. She was very grateful, and we thought that would be the end of it. She put the shower items in the shower, and literally nothing else changed. The levels on the soaps and shampoo didn't go down. The smell was getting worse. We sat down with her and had a serious but concerned conversation. We said that we were worried about her and wanted to know if she was okay and how we could help. She said everything was fine and nobody else had ever mentioned her smelling bad. I find that completely impossible, as she was surrounded by a stench of body odor coming from every pore. She said she'd shower more. She began going to parties, which we thought would make her clean up a bit, but it didn't. She would just add cheap alcohol to the body odor scent. After about a month, my roommate and I went to the dorm advisor and explained what the situation was and how we were done. She was smelling worse every day and was beginning to be very snotty to us. The residence director met with her, and although he couldn't tell us what happened during the meeting, he verified that he could smell the odor coming off of her. Thankfully, she had made a friend, a very odd duck, but a duck that I am still thankful for, and that friend's roommate moved out. She moved within a week. We ran into her on campus every now and then same stink. I'm a nurse, so I've seen some shit. But the worst would be a woman with scabies and fleas. I don't know how she got them, but she was so ashamed of having them that she basically just barricaded herself at home for some weeks until her daughter got her admitted to the hospital. I'm not exaggerating when I say that everything on her jumped when you came close to her bed or she moved. She had them everywhere, and I mean everywhere. I spare you the description of her intimate area. Ugh, my aunt is a nurse, and she had some stories. One that stuck out was a large obese woman came in, and they had to bathe her. My aunt said she lifted up one of her breasts only to be greeted by live maggots. I am going away now. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. In the comments below, share your similar stories. And don't forget to check out our other videos.